I have with me a very illustrious guest coming in from Florida, Shahar Turgeman. Shahar, welcome.
Hey, Tim. Good to see you.
Excellent. So, Shahar, you're known worldwide as the really kind of the founder and face of STS Inks. You're a multi-million dollar global ink manufacturing company. You make everything from scratch, correct?
That's correct.
So you're operating out of Boca Raton. I've been down to visit a very impressive facility, I will say.
Thank you.
But you've also
It's
now,
good to have you.
yeah, it is. I was glad to come. You definitely demonstrated that you manufacture all of your inks for all the printer technology you support, which is what? Aqueous, solvent, UV, DTF. What else? I miss one?
You name it. Everything about digital.
Okay,
So everything jetting through printhead. We know how to take a large particle size and make it as a nanotechnology.
perfect. Yeah, you have very impressive equipment, absolutely top of the line everything. You have a remarkable facility, great people, but you've also explored a little bit into the avenue of hardware, right? And so you are
Correct.
very much in the hardware business as well. Now, what really caught my eye is I think you've built the best true DTF workflow I have yet to see. And you built it around a Muto printer. And so I think that when I look at it, you're the only person I know that took an excellent Japanese printer, built all of the pieces, which is software, choose the right rip, dial in all the right settings, get the right print heads, figure out what makes a right print head, get all the waveforms and electronics, choose the right film, choose the right powder, build your own, manufacture your own shaker, have everything integrate together so that from one end all the way to the finishing roll, and now also from finishing, you have finishing equipment as well. You're the only person I know that did it,
Correct.
put all the pieces together and took ownership and put STS logo on all of those pieces, which I think is really cool. And as a result, I think you guys have the best speed and the best quality I've seen in the industry. Tell me a little bit about what you made.
So basically, we started the business for the DTF market 6 years ago. And when we start 6 years ago, we see what the industry needs. Um, and when we developed back in 2019, 2020, the DTF, uh, we developed the ink under Chinese machine or under converting machine, as we say. And then we didn't like what we see. We didn't see that the quality of the hardware, the waveform was changing every second. If it, between hardware to hardware, between ink to ink, even the same hardware and the ink formulation change, you need to change the waveform because the volume drop based on viscosity or pigment load or different resin and so on. And then it was never consistency. Uh, we know Muto for many, many years. Muto is a company 60 plus years in the industry. I think this is a great OEM partner to be to have them with us, and they know how to build machine. And then basically we took the first generation machine. We took one little machine, converted. It was based on on eco solvent machine, and then we converted to water base, and then we create the waveform and do some little automation to handle the white. Then we have the second generation and third generation and the fourth generation. We released a year and a half ago. We basically built from scratch. It was not converting machine. It's a machine that we build from zero, size wise, head development. That is a head. We use AccuFine head, easy to change head by the customers, and the dampers. Easy to maintenance. We had experience for 4 years in the DTF. We know what the customer needs. So we listen to our customer from the small mom and pop shop all the way to the larger account. When I say a larger account, is the account that has 30 machine or 30 or 40 machine in each location. And basically we build their needs. A lot to do with the automation, how to handle the white, how to handle the pepper feed adjustment. The pepper feed it's very important uh, on the DTF, auto calibration, the bidirectional, because especially on the DTF, when you print wet on wet and CMYK on top of white, you don't want to see any shifting, no left and right and no up and down
Right.
during the production. And in this industry, when you transfer, to example, on black garment or any substrate that is black, you don't want to see the white shifting. Or, to example, when you print halftone, especially when you're printing halftone, and the dot is very small, all the way to 1 pt, you don't want to see that moving around, because it look like bunch of white area and it's not
Yeah.
transferred
It looks like
correctly.
a blob,
Yeah,
a
exactly. It
white
look like a
blob.
blob.
You lose all
Exactly.
the
Yeah,
refinement to having these fine print heads, you know?
yeah, yeah. Exactly, exactly. So we built into the machine a pepper feed adjustment automatically. Is a small camera on the head next to the carriage, basically, that is scan the pepper feed adjustment and also the bidirectional. So left and right, up and down is scanning automatically. The pinch roller, it's across all the board from with gap of zero, probably about 1.2 to 1.5 millimeter between each pinch hole. So always when you feed it, it will be the same all the time. It doesn't matter if it's you beginning of the roll or you finish the roll, that is get lighter, so it's not going to push it more forward. So, and again, is a lot of automation. To example, on the machine, every 3.5 hours, the machine will go and do circulation inside the tubing. So we don't waste the ink and just purge all the time. We actually put it in the circulation inside the tubing. The same thing with the machine. When you go to sleep mode, it's automatically go to sleep mode. And it's different maintenance between the machine is in sleep mode or is in production. Um, so, and again, it depends on the customers and the customer, what the customer needs as far as automation. No automation for the white. If the customer going for 1 week vacation, need to flash all the system. You can say, okay, every 9 hours, go ahead and do the maintenance, automatic maintenance. The wiper is double wipers to avoid any contamination between the CMYK and the white.
Tell me a little bit
And
about your
and yeah.
the heads themselves. As I understand it, there are heads that are, I think, more compatible with the film that you utilize for DTF, and then there's print heads that are less compatible. Can you tell me a little bit about those differences?
So the head build in obviously the head build in different gaskets, silicone, tin foil tin foil. We call it film technology. This is basically Epson technology, and and some other company use the same technology on that one. Even Rico, they have couple. Some of them is stainless steel plate, some of them is the plated head. But for the white ink, when we develop the white, the ink it's all about the resin, because
Okay.
the washability test. The washability test it's very important. You can have a head, that we can put 5% resin, but the washability will not that be
Okay.
great for
You
that.
do all your own
So
washability tests, don't you? I mean, I've seen your operation, so I know you do.
yeah,
You test
yeah,
everything
we do
there.
all
Like
the
everything you run, you
yeah,
test it all yourselves. Full
correct,
washability.
yeah, full washability to make sure that we met the 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 standard that is ATTC 6061. That is 50 plus washers. And we find out that, on the resin, you need to be X amount of resin between the CMYK, the color versus to the white.
Okay.
The white is very important because this is the first layer you have.
Sure. Everything is
Then
built from white, right? I mean, that's your foundation. You're almost all running a colored shirt. So therefore, white is the foundation.
Correct. That is correct, yes. So we find out that some of the head is not 100% compatible with the resin, polyurethane resin. This is the resin that's most of the DTF ink, the main ingredient. Okay. Of course, you have surfactant, you have cross linker, and so on. But the resin is the key, and the pigment. Obviously, you can get the pigment that is true, uh, uh, with a good amount of dispersion and the pigment load, so you can get a really nice gamut. The same thing with the yellow, the magenta. Some I see some DTF with different magenta. It's the shape of magenta, like mostly bluish side or more yellowish side. So we find out that our pigment is give you the best gamut is basically on the bluish side. We'll give you extended gamut.
Okay.
You can get the Coca-Cola red. Same thing with the yellow. We don't use the mustard yellow. We use the bright yellow. And so on to get the extended color.
All right.
Our white.
Your white is very good from what I've seen. Very, very good.
Correct. We getting the most brighter white and clean white, and the pigment is manufactured in USA. So
good.
It's manufactured right here. Yeah.
Excellent.
All the TI2 we're using is manufactured here in US, 100% made in US, and it's a clean. So before we getting the TI2, basically they're removing all the heavy metal, they clean the pigment properly. It's like really, really good white, and you can see, we're getting a density of 0.06. In the white is different than the color. The color you want to get the highest density as you can. On the white, when you read it, is the opposite way.
Sure.
So more down, you get it more, and some, in some. Depends on the on the fabric. You can get even you can calibrate with a white the dot on the profile you're using, because it doesn't matter if you use I1 or Barbieri or whatever measurement tools you're using.
You use in-edit neoStampa, correct, for your software?
Correct.
From what my understanding is, you're very happy with the white control and the grayscale control that you get from neoStampa.
Yes, basically we're working with neoStampa around the DTF. neoStampa is it's from Fabric, is a RIP software that's focused on the fabric application, especially on the dye sublimation. They are the biggest in the market for the dye sublimation. This is what they're using originally. And what we did with the neoStampa, they developed dynamic white. Basically, what is mean dynamic white is when you have a dark color, it will put less white, and when it's a light color, it will put more white, but based on the density of the ink.
Okay.
So if you get 0.2, it will put more white on the color, of course. If you get 0.8, it will put less.
Oh, okay.
But it's all about the formulation automatically. You don't need to create a file with the half tone, with different layer of white. It does it automatically.
Oh, great.
Same thing with the same thing with the knockout is very simple. Cutting method is really, really nice, very simple. Easy to use. It basically take about 20 to 30 minutes in training, and the customer it's ready to print. Same thing with our equipment. Customer 70% of our equipment installed remotely. We don't need to go there. We don't need to go and do the training. Is a customer take it out of the box. The head already installed, calibration. You load the ink. You do initial charge, and you basically start to print.
So you made it very much ready to go out of the box. I know you have a very good
Exactly.
team
Yeah.
of support. I've met them all. You have a very large demo center, impressive, and then you have a whole team of people that know your products. One thing that we haven't spoken about, which I like, I love your shaker. I think you have the best shaker I've seen on the market. I think it's very safe. It's very fast. It's accurate. It has virtues and features that other shakers don't have. And what I also like about it is when I looked at the way that the electronics were constructed, I looked at the engineering, is everything is in its right place. It's easily accessible. It's easy to replace things. Everything makes sense. And it's like the first actually intentionally designed, intelligent, predictive, engineered shaker that I've seen. So tell me a little bit about it, because none of the other players who are in the DTF market make a shaker. They sell a printer. They might have a rip attached, but the rest of it they leave to, the customer and the dealer. And in your case, you put all the pieces together, including that shaker. So tell me about your shaker a little bit.
So the shaker, we start to design the shaker from the beginning. Actually, we sold a couple hundred unit, the standard unit. We find out that we need to have it something better than what is everybody selling in the industry, and especially when the customer need to change the parts. Shaker is something move. It's always movement. It's machinery. Something always can be, if you need to change the vacuum fan, or you need to change the belt, or you need to change some motors, shaking, 24 hours all the time shaking, parts can go down. And when it come down, you don't need a technician to change it. So basically what we redesigned all the shaker. We put all the parts outside. Everything has access to the end user to change the gear, or the pump, or belt, ball light. Very, very easy. Everything can be exchangeable. Especially when we run safety. We develop a board that is not a software control the safety. Is basically is another system control the safety of the shaker. So, to example, we built in a contactor inside our shaker. So you have a main breaker and you have contactor. The contactor basically control, when is some failure, we can trigger it and it will shut down the breaker. So the way we design it, we have a board. Basically, if the shaker getting above 170 Celsius, is basically shut it down. Is a loop that is control, is like a red guard, basically control a loop every 0.1 millisecond. You will make sure that all the voltage and everything is safety. And if something wrong, it will shut down. The same thing with for example, you open the hood, it will stop the heater, it will stop all the machine. The same thing with if you want to add a TPU, if you move the drawer to add more TPU, it will stop to shaking, because you don't want to have TPU all over the flow,
Right.
all of the flow. And then it's very easy to use. We have a large screen that you can control all the heater. As soon you dial in all the speed and the shaking speed and everything is safe, is there. And you can do a lot of fun. We have a lot of functionality. We can see that on you can change on the shaking. To example, if someone wants to print just 5 or 6 logos, or some 2-3 shirts, you can do it manually. You don't need to run all the shaker. It's easy. It's flat. You can use it as a convert belt. Um, and the most important is it's all about the service. With the shaker, you will not be down. We have all the parts in house. We know how the shaker works. We don't need to ask some vendor how it works, so you're never going to
Right.
be down. And all our team is there for work. We right now we have 13 technicians in house that's supporting different application, different hardware. And again, what is great about STS is not we are not just supporting the hardware, we're supporting the application. So if you have any issue with some hoodie that
Right.
is 80% cotton or 20% polyester or other around, we know how to transfer it. Or if you want to print on a special leather jacket, you don't want to see the TPU melting around the image. So we have solution for it. Or, to example, you want to print on umbrella and so on. So we have all the solution to provide a customer. So it's not about just to sell the hardware. It's about the solution for that's. I don't think any other company
No.
do that at this
No,
moment,
that your
as
knowledge
far
of
as big
your
company.
knowledge of the application and your knowledge of the workflow, your knowledge of all the pieces of the workflow. I mean, just listening to you here, there's other people barely know their square footage per hour on the printer. They don't know anything about powder. They don't know anything about the composition of the powder. They don't know anything about the safety data sheets of the powder. They don't know anything about the different granular size of the powder and how that would affect your peel. So you guys are the only ones I've really met that understand through, I think, trial and error. I mean, you went through a hard learning
Yeah.
curve to figure all this out.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was tough because people didn't know how DTF worked in this country, but everyone wanted it. And so early on, it was kind of the Wild West out there. And you guys seem to have put all the pieces together in a way that when I look at each individual part, I say, that's a great rip choice to do this. That's a great printer choice. That's a great printhead choice. That's a great shaker. I like this film a lot. And then your ink is exceptional. You have very good white, you have very good color. And then the people in STS that put it all together, that run it, know what they're doing. So when you call and say, hey, I have this polyester cotton hoodie and I'm not getting very good results, you know what to tell them. You know how to get the results on the
Correct.
hoodie because there's all these points of adjustment. What one do I adjust? Do I adjust the speed through the shaker? Do I adjust something in my profile? And I think when you call a lot of other companies, they're just guessing. They really don't know. They never tested any of this stuff. They don't know their washability. They don't have a washability facility to test it all. They just don't know.
Yep. Especially when you come to polyester, a lot of transfer been done on polyester, and you get dye migration.
Right.
A lot of them don't understand where is come the dye migration. It's from the white, it's from the shirt, it's from the ink. They just don't understand it. But we have the solution for all of that, and especially on hand fill.
Right.
On the hand filling, I see a lot of output of different customer or some people selling transfer, and you feel like it's very like HTV basically. It's very rough, stickery. They don't have a good hand feel, and the reason is the passes, the number of passes we able to print. We are using only about half of the consumable of the ink, the ink drop as the other printer in
Sure.
the industry.
Well, they're just dropping a bunch of white.
Very thin.
I mean, generally speaking, they're just
Or
dumping
color,
white and
to get the
color, right?
density.
And that's what creates that.
Yeah.
I'm of the opinion that if you take somebody who really understands how to fine tune a DTF workflow, the quality of DTF is much higher than people who are committed to direct to garment realize. The quality and the versatility is there. Now, if you're using it on a mediocre or inferior workflow, then the claim that DTF is inferior is legitimate because it feels plasticky and it's over inked and everything else. So it really just depends on your refinement of your workflow. And I think
Correct. And
you're
also the
very good quality.
inconsistency. Yeah. Yeah. Also the inconsistency in the industry is it's almost impossible to control with others. They
Sure.
don't understand um, the way basically the film, if it's the film is the issue, if it's the powder issue,
Right.
it's a lot of issue with the film for many many years. The delta E, you cannot narrow it down to below 2, with other companies, and I see that. I see other major company that's having hard time. There some of them been reprofile every week, every 2 weeks, reprofiling when you're getting a new ink batch or getting a new
Sure.
film. here we go.
Oh, they
We
can't.
need to
There's a
profile.
great deal. There's no question. I have seen these things with my own eyes. Um, Shakers are been a total disaster, a mess, a blight on the industry, and everybody thinks, "Hey, I can buy a cheap shaker for $3,000." And my answer is, "Yeah, you can." Whether it's going to be reliable or whether that shaker is going to be working in 6 months is anyone's guess, but chances are it won't be. And you won't have parts, you won't have accessibility, and now you're just going to go buy another junky shaker. So component, all that matters. I've seen the quality of the ink all over the place, where people getting different batches, and the ink, especially the white ink, is entirely different from batch to batch. Subsequently, all your prints are off. I've seen the film manufacturers be all over the place, where you're always getting a different film with every import. With every container, you now have a different film formulation. I've seen powder where nobody has any safety data sheets and nobody knows, like, is the powder the same every time? Just because it looks the same doesn't mean the granularity is the same or its composition is. And I've seen all sorts of crazy things with the software where honestly the profiling that's made for this is terrible. It's just awful. And the software is honestly inferior, and it can't have the same white ink controls that uh, neoStampa and Edit does. All those I've seen regularly with my own experience. Very common. And you seem to understand them all. Like you understand the issue at
Yeah,
stake, right? Because you're an ink
yeah,
manufacturer.
it's
Like, you
there.
make ink. You get it.
No, the delta E. It's we know how to control the delta E with our production because we grinding the pigment and we know how much pigment load we put for each batch, and plus we have machinery that check the delta E between batch to batch from the reference. We also do some jetting. Every batch been jetting to make sure it's not you know no any issue cause, and make sure the delta E always on the jetting also always going to be below uh, below 1 delta E. Um, and this is how you can control the consistency on the product, especially when you working with a large enterprise account. This is small and mom and pop shop. The reprinting, it can be okay, but sometimes if you try to reprint a job that you print a month before, I don't think it's
Right.
it's possible to do that.
No.
With
Well,
with
I think
other
what you guys have
consumer.
offered, and I know you have new stuff coming out. You're going to be at ISA 2026 in Orlando. Um, you don't just have the DTF workflow. You also have DTF UV. You have a really cool UV tumbler printer, and you have all kinds of cool finishing equipment,
Yeah,
right? So you have a whole
correct.
suite. And I think
The cutter. It's the
you have
cutter.
a
We have the
very
finishing
good,
the cutter.
inexpensive
Yeah,
flatbed cutter that I do really like.
right. Yeah.
What's your booth number at ISA? 623. I'll save
I
you.
don't know.
623.
63.
Yeah.
Okay.
I planned for that. I just
All
wanted
right.
to see you sweat a little bit before I gave it to you. Sorry,
I know.
my
I'm
friend. Yeah. So I'll be there too. I'll be at the show. So looking forward
all
to it.
right.
I'll stop by your booth. I think
Looking forward to
I'm
see
going to do
you.
some video work with you guys first thing on Thursday morning, 10 o'clock. But I'll stop by throughout the show because I think you have cool products. I think you have the first
Thank you.
DTF workflow, a system that I consider professional. We're a company that has
Thank you.
the Adidas contract or the Nike contract or some of these big contracts that says, look, I want to use DTF,
Mhm.
but there's just so much variability. The shakers don't work, the colors are changing. I get a good batch and a bad batch. Why is that? And the answer is a lot of people just have no way to track all that down. You guys have taken ownership of the workflow, all of it. And therefore, it's the first thing I can really get behind and say that can support a Nike contract convincingly, reliably, consistently, so that the customer will be happy with the product they're getting. And if there's something not right, you guys can step in at the right point and figure out what do we need to adjust versus randomly just turning knobs, which is what everyone else is going to do. Because if you're just selling a printer, and that's what you are, you're in the printer business, all the rest of this workflow doesn't belong to you. And you don't know. You're just selling a printer.
Exactly.
And you probably don't even make your own ink for this printer. So, you get what you
Yeah.
get, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what sets you apart.
Exactly.
That's why I'm looking forward to doing what you're going to add in the future and if anything's coming out. So you'll be at ISA. You guys are going to be at Printing United as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing you guys change the DTF market because I think DTF is absolutely dynamite. I'm a big believer in DTF, but I think you have to get the workflow mastered, and you're the first one that, to me, that's really done that.
Yeah, we investing very heavily on the DTF. We believe that as well. So, the business growing every year, from 2024 to 2025 is double.
Yeah.
And 2020, they're
Right.
talking about 2027, unrealistic number.
Right.
They're talking
Well, I
about
think you're
4
getting,
point
here's
something
the customers I think
billion.
you're getting. You're getting a lot of people that bought like on the way up with all of the problems and all the headaches and all the R&D, right? And they finally go, oh, you know, I finally have a system that somebody has thought through. And I think you're also getting people who are waiting on the sidelines for somebody to build a system that actually took responsibility of the whole workflow. They've been waiting to get in and now they're ready, and you have the system that will get them where they need to go reliably. Like it's thought through. It gets you results. Just follow your recipe. You're like Chick-fil-A, man. You buy a Chick-fil-A, you follow the recipe, and you make money. Right? Like this,
Make
look,
money,
we built
exactly.
this. It makes sense. Just follow the recipe. It's not hard to do. We have a system.
Yeah, we see. Listen, we saw that in the industry. A lot of customers starting with the other machine, overseas, coming from overseas, from China and so on, and then they're tired with it and say, okay, I'm ready for a good one
Right.
without babysitting the
Right.
machine. And this is when you come to our solution. You don't need to be babysitting the machine. You put a 328 feet roll. You press a button and keep printing until it's finished.
Right. Well, you guys are not entry level, which is smart. Because
Yeah.
I don't think you can do this at entry level. I think the component requirements
No.
to do this properly, reliably, cost a certain amount. And you have the printer, you have the film, you have the shaker. All of that has to be made a certain level. Otherwise, this thing won't work. It's going to fail. And you're going to have too much downtime, too much disappointment. It's going to be too slow. You guys are very fast for a two-head machine, and that's because you've mastered your waveforms, your ink. Your ink loads the resin and the ink as well as the software, right? You can run faster than everyone else.
Yeah, we're running at the carriage speed for 460 CP, so it's double than any other income head basically printer manufacturer. However, the way we're running right now, even we have only two head. The speed is more. We are faster than a 4-head Chinese machine.
Yeah.
If you look at it,
Right.
so.
Well,
So it's not about the number of the head.
No.
It's all about who's driving
Right.
the head. It's like a car.
Yeah.
You can have a Ferrari and you don't know how to drive.
That's
it can
right.
be faster.
Well, my friend Shahar, thank you for coming on.
Right.
I'd love to have you on a regular basis. I want to talk about some of your finishing equipment, and I want to talk about that really great UV tumbler printer, which I think is
Tumbler.
the UV tumbler printer is
Doing
also
very,
fantastic.
very well.
It's doing very, very well, and you deserve
Fantastic.
to. And the fact that you can put all the pieces together, the software, the hardware, the ink, everything is controlled at one point, and it's not a bunch of things being put together in different locations. Congratulations on all your success. I will see you at the show.
Thank you.
And that is, what is the booth
See
again?
you.
623. I know what booth. I got to find you. You don't have people find you now. You don't have to find them.
Yes.
All right. You take care. Bye, my friend.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye-bye.